Greetings, Guardians. This is Olympus Alliance, and today we'll shine the spotlight on Judge, the Dominion's legendary universe guardian. A hero who has been underestimated for years but who, with the right build and the right team, can transform the entire flow of battle. Judge is not just another mage or controller. He's a hybrid disruptor, a shield caster, and a master of battlefield control whose potential only reveals itself once you understand how his kit works together. So let's break down his skills, his build, his synergies, and of course, how to bring him down when he's standing in your way. We begin with Judge's first skill, Iron Cyclone. This ability creates a lightning storm that doesn't just strike once, it crashes down 4 times, dealing magic damage across the entire enemy team. Its strength scales directly with his magic attack stat, which means the more you invest in his offense, the more devastating those electric storms become. Now, here's the detail that makes Iron Cyclone so interesting: Judge doesn't have native magic penetration unless you unlock his second talisman. Without that, this skill might hit like a drizzle instead of a storm against heavily defensive teams. But the beauty of Hero Wars Alliance is synergy. Put Judge alongside Orion, whose 4th skill Total Charge floods the battlefield with magic penetration, and suddenly those lightning bolts pierce through like divine punishment. Or combine him with Polaris, who not only brings powerful stuns but also adds a chance for magic critical hits, and Iron Cyclone becomes more than damage, it becomes a nightmare for fragile backlines. Moving to his second skill, Force Field. This one is deceptively simple but strategically brilliant. Judge casts a shield on the rightmost and leftmost allies, absorbing all forms of damage until it breaks. Again, its strength depends on his magic attack stat. This shield is invaluable when your formation is under threat from both ends, the heavy frontline pressure of heroes like Zesha or the deadly backline assassins like Yasmin and Ju. With Force Field active, those critical allies are given just enough breathing room to activate their ultimates and turn the tide. Imagine your backline Orion, seconds away from unleashing his barrage, or your tank Julius bracing for the next massive hit. Judge buys them time. And in Hero Wars Alliance, time is often the difference between victory and defeat. Now we come to Judge's third skill, Spacial Rift. And this is where the control aspect of his kit really starts to shine. Judge opens a rift in the center of the enemy formation for a full 7 seconds. That rift slows every nearby enemy, disrupting their flow and wrecking carefully timed combos. The chance to slow does decrease against enemies above level 120, but even then, the impact is noticeable. This isn't flashy damage. This is disruption. Teams that rely on perfectly timed chains, Artemis waiting for buffs, Dante building momentum, or Ching Mao lining up her disables, suddenly find their rhythm broken. And when you combine Spacial Rift with allies that accelerate your own team, like Julius with his 4th skill Perfect Reflexes, you create a tempo imbalance. Your team gets faster while theirs grinds to a crawl. That's battlefield control at its finest. Finally, we reach his 4th skill, Enhanced Generator. And this is the moment Judge ascends into true crowd control territory. With this passive enhancement, every one of Judge's core abilities gains a stunning effect. Iron Cyclone doesn't just zap enemies anymore, it stuns them. Force Field doesn't just protect allies, it stuns nearby enemies every 5 seconds. And when Spacial Rift dissipates, it delivers a final stun to everyone caught in its zone. Suddenly, Judge is no longer just slowing or shielding, he's chaining stun after stun, shutting down basic attacks, ultimates, and dodges. That level of control is terrifying, and it makes him the kind of hero you absolutely cannot ignore. Pair him with Polaris and Orion, or bring in Julius, and you create a team that not only deals damage but also keeps the enemy frozen in helplessness. So, How do you build Judge to maximize this power? First, understand his role. He's a control hero, part of the way of progress, and stands firmly on the middle line. That positioning is crucial. It lets him cast shields forward and backward while staying safe enough to keep his control chain going. For his rank items, focus on health and magic attack. In the violet tiers, prioritize the All-Seer, the Book of Prophecies, and the Panoptic Orb. These push his offense while giving him some resilience. As you progress into orange, look to the Sphere of Power, the Light of Distant Stars, and the Key to All Doors. At orange +3 or +4, Judge gains the balance he needs to survive and still amplify his skills, and that's where you'll feel his mid-game power spike the most. When it comes to skins, Judge has 5. Your first priority is his magic attack skin, because boosting this stat enhances both Iron Cyclone's storm damage and the strength of his force field. Once that's secure, go for health, which keeps him alive longer and ensures he can cycle through his control skills. After that, the default skin becomes valuable because it scales with his primary skills and grants a small boost to magic defense. Then, look at magic defense itself, which shores up his survivability against mage-heavy enemies. Finally, there's his second magic attack skin, which is better reserved for late-game investments since you already have enough magic power to make his abilities shine. And as always, if Judge ever gets another health or magic attack skin in the future, those should immediately jump to maximum priority. Next, let's talk about glyphs. Judge has 5, magic attack, armor, health, magic defense, and intelligence. The first one to raise is health. Without survivability, he won't live long enough to control the fight. Second, invest in magic attack to scale his 2 most important skills. Third, prioritize magic defense, giving him protection against the mages he'll often be facing. Fourth, go for armor to balance out his defenses against physical teams. And finally, intelligence comes last, because as his main stat it already provides a decent foundation. As always, raise them to level 40 unless you're specifically pushing for class bonuses. Artifacts are where his balance of offense and support becomes clear. Judge's weapon artifact provides a magic attack bonus to the entire team when he casts Iron Cyclone. His book increases his magic attack and health. And his ring raises his intelligence, his main stat. The most impactful artifact to prioritize is his book, because it directly boosts both survival and skill power. After that, focus on his ring, since the stat boost helps scale his abilities and increases his natural magic defense. Finally, work on his weapon artifact. While the shared magic attack buff isn't useless, it's situational and doesn't impact his own kit as strongly as the others. That said, in teams that rely on magic burst, it can make the difference between overwhelming the enemy or falling short. For the gift of the elements, max out health and magic attack. Judge needs both to do his job, survive long enough to disrupt, and hit hard enough to make his stuns and shields meaningful. When it comes to talismans, Judge has 2. The first provides intelligence and magic attack, and the second grants armor and magic penetration. Both are excellent, but also a bit hard to obtain. If you manage to get them, they're worth the investment, because they give Judge exactly what he needs: more offensive scaling and a rare source of penetration that compensates for one of his weaknesses. But even without them, a correctly leveled Judge can perform well. Now, let's look at one of the most important topics: how to counter him. Judge can be scary when he chains his stuns, but like every hero, he has vulnerabilities. Sebastian's Ballad of Tenacity is a hard counter, creating a shield that protects the entire team against stunning and curse effects. With Sebastian present, Judge's control power crumbles. Heidi can punish him as well, applying toxins whenever Judge's shields absorb damage, turning his protection into a liability. Soleil is another dangerous matchup, because her kit scales damage every time control abilities are used, and Judge relies heavily on control. Oya is brutal against shield-based heroes, dealing double damage, which makes Judge's force field a target instead of a protection. And finally, Thea's Vow of Silence can outright stop him from casting, shutting down his damage and utility in one strike. So while Judge is powerful, he is not invincible. Play him smart, pair him with the right allies, and he can dominate. But if you're facing him, bring the correct counters and you'll dismantle his control strategy before it begins. And that's it for today, Guardians. Judge, the Universe Guardian, might not always get the spotlight, but with relics, skins, and the right builds, he is more dangerous than ever before. What do you think about Judge? Have you tested him in your teams, and how has he performed for you? Share your thoughts down below, I want to hear your strategies. Stay tuned, stay sharp, and as always, salute and friendship.